Yes, you heard that right. In some parts of the world, Christians aren't just unwelcome, they face intense discrimination and hostility. In these countries, it's risky to openly identify as Christian, with many locals viewing it as foreign and unwelcome. Today on Explore with Alan, we're diving deep into the top 10 countries where Christians are banned. Join us as we uncover the real reasons behind this hostility and explore the challenges faced by Christians already living there. But before we dive in, please give us a like and subscribe as we work hard to bring you these eye-opening insights. Wait for last country, because what it did to its Christian community will leave you in shock. Starting with number 10, Sudan. Imagine a place where simply gathering to worship can put your life at risk. Welcome to Sudan. In Sudan, Christians face immense challenges under Islamic law and societal norms. Out of Sudan's 46 million people, approximately 2.5 million are Christians, around 5% of the population. Despite this, Sudan remains a challenging environment for religious freedom. Though Sudan removed apostasy laws in 2019, Christians still face intimidation, harassment, and at times, extreme violence. Just in January 2024, a Christian man was killed by extremist members of the Rapid Support Forces (RSF), who later set his church on fire, destroying sacred texts and supplies. Sudanese Christians, particularly women and children, are also vulnerable to forced conversions, where they're pressured to adopt Islam. This disturbing trend has continued as Christian women are occasionally kidnapped or even forced into marriage with Muslim men, leading to the loss of personal freedom and religious identity. The physical spaces for Christian worship are shrinking too. Recently, churches have been seized and even converted into military headquarters by RSF forces amid ongoing internal conflict. Adding to these tensions, Christian literature and worship materials are restricted, leading to raids and confiscation of religious materials. Imagine worshiping in secret, unsure if the next service could bring harassment or arrest. One recent example is the Church of Savior bombing last November. This church, a symbol of Christian faith in Sudan for over 80 years, was reduced to rubble. Such incidents reveal the ongoing reality for Sudan's Christian communities, who live under constant threat. What does the future hold for these communities? With ongoing conflict between Sudan's armed forces and RSF, the safety of religious minorities remains fragile. Let us know in the comments if you think more international support could help ease their plight. Number 9, Iraq. What if I told you that in Iraq, Christianity, once a vibrant and integral part of society, now faces unimaginable challenges? Iraq, a land historically rich in religious diversity, has seen a steep decline in its Christian population over the last few decades, largely due to severe persecution. Currently, Christians in Iraq face a daily struggle just to survive and practice their faith. Christian communities in Iraq, estimated to make up less than 1% of the population today, are frequently targeted by extremist groups, facing threats, kidnappings, and even executions. The rise of ISIS in 2014 marked a particularly brutal chapter, with cities like Mosul, once home to thousands of Christians, transformed into ghost towns as believers fled in fear of their lives. Christian properties were marked, seized, or destroyed, and many were forced to choose between converting, paying a heavy tax, or facing death. The government's limited control over certain regions also means that these threats aren't effectively addressed. While some have returned to rebuild, the community still lives in fear of violence and renewed oppression. Churches are periodically attacked, religious symbols defaced, and worship services held with caution, often in secrecy. And while Iraq's government recognizes Christianity, the influence of extremist factions and ongoing regional instability create an atmosphere of fear for Christian families. A recent example of these challenges occurred in 2022, when a Christian community center in Baghdad was targeted, leading to further uproar among the Christian minority. Despite these dangers, many Christians in Iraq remain resilient, clinging to their heritage and faith. But this resilience comes at a great cost, with few young people staying to continue the legacy. Iraq's Christian population, which numbered over 1 million in 2003, is now barely a fraction of that size. It's a somber reflection of the hardships faced by those who refuse to abandon their faith in the face of adversity. Country 8, Libya. Imagine living in a place where simply holding a Bible can lead to imprisonment. In Libya, Christians face harsh restrictions and severe risks under both societal pressures and government control. The country's Christian population is tiny, with only around 0.3% of Libya's 7 million people practicing Christianity. But this small group faces intense challenges. Christianity is viewed with suspicion, and Christian symbols, like the cross, are strictly forbidden in public. Libya's government has no official churches, so worship often happens in underground communities. This underground nature of faith gatherings leads to regular raids and crackdowns by authorities. Just last year, 4 Christian men were arrested for preaching their faith and sentenced to long prison terms. Forced conversions and kidnappings are real and terrifying risks. Christian women are especially vulnerable, sometimes forced into marriages with Muslim men as a form of forced assimilation. Recently, in Tripoli, a young Christian woman was reportedly abducted after attending an underground prayer service. Such incidents are often unreported, and the government does little to intervene, leaving Christian communities to fend for themselves. The ongoing civil conflict in Libya also exacerbates these challenges, with armed groups targeting Christian villages, looting and burning properties. The constant state of unrest makes life doubly dangerous for Christians, who not only face social persecution but also risk becoming collateral damage in conflicts. Does this small community have any hope for a safer future? Share your thoughts in the comments below on what could be done to protect these vulnerable groups. Before we continue, I want to take a quick moment to thank you all for helping us reach 10,000 subscribers. To celebrate, I've launched a new store with some awesome designs, including brand new Donald Trump designs that I know you'll love. Click the top link in the description or visit the bio to check them out and be a part of our growing community of explorers. These designs are made for true enthusiasts, so don't miss out. Country 7, Iran. Imagine being seen as an enemy of the state simply because of your beliefs. In Iran, Christianity is regarded as a threat to the dominant culture, leading to widespread discrimination and surveillance of the country's estimated 800,000 Christians, about 1% of the population. Converting from Islam to Christianity is considered apostasy, punishable by imprisonment or even execution in severe cases. House churches, where most Iranian Christians worship, are constantly monitored, and raids are common. For instance, in Tehran, a dozen Christians were arrested last October for participating in a private prayer gathering. Christians in Iran face constant pressure to renounce their faith. Christian schools, literature, and even educational programs are tightly controlled, and Christian symbols are generally banned in public. Female Christians, especially, experience gender-based persecution, with cases of forced marriage to Muslim men reported frequently. Forced conversions are a real threat, with Christian families often facing pressure from local officials to reintegrate into the Islamic faith. Adding to the oppression, Iran's media has spread propaganda associating Christians with foreign powers, fostering societal resentment. A recent incident saw a Christian village targeted by a mob after being falsely accused of spreading anti-government messages. Country 6, Yemen. In Yemen, the freedom to choose your religion can cost you your life. Christians in Yemen, who make up less than 1% of the country's 30 million people, face some of the harshest conditions globally. Conversion from Islam to Christianity is legally punishable by death, leading many Christians to practice their faith in complete secrecy. There are no official churches, and Christian gatherings are held in private homes. Last year, an underground prayer group in Sana'a was attacked, with members reportedly detained for disturbing public order. Beyond government persecution, Yemen's ongoing civil war has made life even more dangerous for Christians. Armed groups like the Houthis have destroyed Christian sites, seized church properties, and issued threats to known Christian families. Kidnappings of Christian women, often followed by forced marriage to Muslim men, have been reported, creating a climate of fear for Christian families. Christian literature is almost non-existent in Yemen, as any form of religious education outside Islam is strictly banned. Christian children face bullying in schools, and families are pressured to conform to Islamic teachings to avoid suspicion. The plight of Yemen's Christians rarely reaches international headlines due to the country's restricted media access, but their suffering is undeniable. Country 5, Pakistan. Imagine facing prison time just for sharing your faith. In Pakistan, Christians make up around 1.3% of the country's 241 million people and encounter significant challenges, often being viewed as second-class citizens. The government enforces strict blasphemy laws, which carry penalties ranging from imprisonment to death, and Christians frequently face false accusations. In one recent example, 2 Christian brothers were sentenced to death after being accused of online blasphemy, a case that drew international outcry and highlighted the intense risk Christians face here. Worship is also limited. While Pakistan has churches, congregations are often under surveillance, and there have been instances where mobs attacked Christian neighborhoods after allegations of blasphemy. Just last month, a Christian family in Punjab faced harassment, leading them to abandon their home after rumors spread that they had insulted religious sentiments. Christian women are especially vulnerable, with reports of abductions followed by forced conversions and marriages to Muslim men, often under government inaction. A 14-year-old Christian girl was recently forced to marry her abductor, a case that made international headlines. These forced marriages are not only traumatic but also used as a method of conversion, leaving families powerless and isolated. Will Pakistan's Christians ever experience true religious freedom? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Country 4, Eritrea. Imagine being imprisoned indefinitely just just for attending a prayer group. In Eritrea, Christians represent about 5% of the population, yet they face some of the strictest religious restrictions in the world. The government mandates registration of religious groups, but only 4 faiths are officially recognized, leaving thousands of Christians from unrecognized groups to practice underground. In one case last year, over 30 Christians were arrested during a prayer meeting and detained indefinitely without charge. This situation reflects the widespread targeting of Christians, particularly those from evangelical and Pentecostal denominations. Eritrean authorities also confiscate Christian property and restrict religious gatherings. Many churches were shut down in the capital, Asmara, forcing Christians to worship in secret. The situation for Christians who refuse to renounce their faith can be severe. They often face torture, solitary confinement, or forced labor. One Eritrean Christian recounted being held in a metal shipping container for years, facing extreme temperatures and isolation simply for refusing to renounce his beliefs. Young people face intense pressure to conform, with reports of Christians being denied education or work opportunities. It's an everyday struggle for this community as they grapple with systemic discrimination and fear. Country 3. Somalia. In Somalia, where nearly the entire population is Muslim, Christians make up an incredibly small minority, less than 1%, and face some of the most extreme persecution in the world. Al-Shabaab, an extremist group with significant influence, has openly declared its intent to eradicate Christianity, leading to the brutal targeting of Christians. Just recently, a Christian man was reportedly killed in Mogadishu for possessing a Bible, a stark reminder of the deadly risk associated with practicing Christianity in Somalia. Even within families, Christian beliefs are often met with violence. Reports describe Christian women facing forced marriages to Muslim men, where refusing conversion can mean physical harm or even death. Christian converts often live in constant secrecy, hiding their faith to avoid suspicion, as even minor indicators of Christianity can lead to severe repercussions. Social discrimination and state neglect further isolate Christians. Access to education and healthcare is limited, as Christians often fear going to public institutions where they may be identified. In one case, a Somali Christian family had to flee their home after their neighbors threatened to report them to authorities, highlighting the lack of safety even within their own communities. Country 2. Afghanistan. Imagine living in a place where revealing your faith could mean death. Afghanistan, with a population of around 42 million, has almost no visible Christian community due to severe persecution. Christians here, particularly converts from Islam, face unimaginable dangers as the Taliban government enforces strict religious laws and punishes those who defy them. Since the Taliban's return to power, conditions have worsened, with reports indicating an increase in door-to-door searches to root out those who might be practicing Christianity in secret. One recent report from Kabul highlights how Christians now live in constant fear, hiding their beliefs from even their closest family members. Christian women face added challenges, including forced marriages and violent threats, if suspected of deviating from Islamic beliefs. In a recent case, a young woman was pressured to marry a Taliban member and convert, with her refusal resulting in intense family and community backlash. These stories aren't uncommon, reflecting the peril that Christians face daily. Country 1. North Korea. Imagine practicing your faith knowing it could lead to imprisonment for you and your entire family. North Korea, with a population of about 26 million, is one of the most hostile places in the world for Christians. The government, under Kim Jong-un's leadership, views Christianity as a direct threat to state power. As a result, any act of Christian faith, such as owning a Bible or gathering for worship, is considered treason. A recent defector story highlighted the intensity of this persecution, revealing how entire families were imprisoned or even executed after officials found religious materials in their possession. North Korea holds a dark reputation as one of the harshest places in the world for Christians, where simply practicing the faith can lead to severe punishment. Under the communist regime, Christianity is considered a direct threat to the government's control, resulting in extreme persecution. For starters, Christians face almost unimaginable repression. The North Korean government views Christianity as a form of Western influence that challenges its strict communist ideology. Those found practicing the faith or even possessing religious materials are often detained in forced labor camps. These camps, known for their brutal conditions, reportedly house an estimated 50,000 to 70,000 Christians. In these camps, Christians endure forced labor, starvation, physical abuse, and even torture, all intended to crush their beliefs and cut off any influence of religion. Despite these risks, underground churches still exist in North Korea, operating in absolute secrecy. These hidden communities gather quietly in private homes or remote areas, meeting only in the smallest of groups to avoid detection. Worship is conducted in whispers, and participants are constantly wary of the threat of betrayal, as even family members can report each other to authorities. Now, if you thought these were intense stories, wait until you see our next video, 10 Muslim countries where people are happily becoming Christians. Imagine a world where, despite the odds, people are embracing a faith that could cost them everything, and they're doing it with open hearts and minds. This video dives into stories that are just as powerful, just as real, and reveal a whole new side of faith you may have never seen. You won't want to miss the incredible journeys we uncover there. Go ahead, click over to that video and see the unexpected, the inspiring, and the life-changing moments happening today.